Hello, welcome. My name is Bryce Tubbs. I'm here with Dr. Tim Merrick, who is helping leaders produce extraordinary results. His clients find profit and fulfillment in harnessing inherent gifts and daring to explore new ways of being. I'm extremely excited to be able to share this conversation with you today. Thank you so much, Dr. Tim.
Uh, I'm just happy to be here, and I'm honored that you want to have me as part of your podcast. So
Excellent.
let's get into it.
Excellent. So, what was life like before you got into this field, and what was really the catalyst that, drove you into the field?
Oh my gosh, how much time do we have? Um, I've only been a coach for 5 years, although I feel that I've been coaching my entire life. I spent 25 years as a chiropractor, and the last 10 to 15 years of that 25 years, I spent specifically in brain-based wellness, neurotherapy, EEG, biofeedback, and looking at how the central nervous system functions. How can I help people be healthier by having a healthier brain function? And the really cool thing about that is that the brain, of course, affects how the body works. The brain also will affect, the brain function will affect our mind state and our state of consciousness. But all of these are two-way streets. If you don't take care of your body, it's going to have an impact on your mind. It also has an impact on your brain. The impulses from the body affect how the brain functions. So there's two-way, all of this is going back and forth. If you change your mind, you change your brain. If you change your brain, you change your body. It's where do I want to have an input into someone's life? As a chiropractor, I was coming through the central nervous system, trying to make them healthier. As a coach, I'm coming in through the mind to help them to create ease, to create an understanding, to live into their gifts. I think you even said that in the introduction. But I got to coaching through neurotherapy and through chiropractic, which is probably an unusual on-ramp.
Now, let me ask you this one. Which one is more challenging for people to try and make a change in, their mind or in their body?
Let me use as an example animals. There was a time when I lived far, far upstate New York State, almost to the Canadian border, and I had the opportunity to help a lot of my clients' animals as a chiropractor. A lot of horses that I adjusted, and what I noticed about the horses is that I would adjust them once or twice, maybe 3 times, and they would heal so very quickly. The same problem that manifests in a human might need 20 or 30 adjustments. Now, what's the difference? What's the main difference between the horse and the human? And I will say it's the stories that we hold on to in our mind. Mm-hmm. What's that old story? It only takes a quarter of a second to send a message around the world, but it takes 20 years to get it to the last quarter inch of your skull. Mm-hmm. We carry stories. The stories that we tell about ourselves, the stories we tell about the world, the stories we tell about ourselves about what's possible and what's not possible. Well, they say whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you're going to be right. Mm-hmm. So to answer that question, I know it's a little bit a long way around, but I believe that the mind is one of the greatest gifts and the greatest obstacles of mankind, humankind, shall I say, in that it gives us such potential, but we also have to be careful about who we rent the upstairs to. Mm.
So, which one do you think is easier, to add a new positive either belief or thought process, or removing an old negative, unfulfilling one now?
That's a good question. I need to put in here that a lot of our beliefs are so subliminal, are so really more in our subconscious. And so when you talk about trying to remove a negative belief, that's a really tough one. So many of our deep-seated views of the world are so are so deep into our subconscious that those are very hard to root out. There are a lot of people out there, not necessarily in the coaching realm, who are doing sort of reprogramming of the subconscious, doing it through tapes, visualization, even sending microcurrent through the brain as they train, shifting brainwave patterns. Hypnosis is a way to get into the subconscious and to plant new seeds, and that's what makes it effective. There are ways to do it, but I think it's a lot easier to take on and practice, grow the muscle of new beliefs. And I think that's where coaching really comes in, is to learn to recognize our patterns, recognize our proclivities. I have a tendency to be, what are some of the knee-jerk things about myself? I grew up in a family that I was sort of lost in the sauce. 5 kids, parents that were very much involved in their own lives. They brought us up in what they called benevolent neglect. They weren't there. And I grew up with a need to be constantly, I was constantly searching for someone to give me feedback, someone to tell me that I was okay. And so I've grown up, and I notice in my life, I have a need to get that feedback, and it's a natural response for me. And it's hard to unroot that. It's hard to do it. But knowing that exists, I can put new patterns into place. I can start to take care of myself. I can do self-care measures. I can ask for the validation that I need rather than having it seep into my behaviors, right? So I do think that we can create new ways of acting, new ways of seeing the world. It does take practice. We need to constantly put those into effect. One of the things and we do in coaching is we create new awarenesses, and then we have practices. We have you actually implement these new awarenesses in your life. Because if you don't reinforce that new synapse in the brain, it's going to extinguish again. Have you ever had that thing, you wake up in the morning and go, oh, what a great idea. An hour later, you're having breakfast, you go, wait a minute, what was that thing I thought of? Gone, right? Once we create that new synapse, we have to reinforce it. Now, the old patterns in our mind of our old beliefs about ourselves, those have been reinforced for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, right? Mm-hmm. They don't need more reinforcement, but these new ideas need a lot of repetition.
Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, because you're saying they're really, really, really hard to tell because they're, below the surface and they're subconscious. Now,
and they've been practiced over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't mind me asking, Bryce, what are some of your sort of knee-jerk ways that you look at the world, which you probably know aren't true, but you find yourself caught in them?
Number 1, psychotherapists with the summer slowdown. I had that thought all last week because my funnel was slowing down and my number of inquiries just went to 0. And all I could hear was, summer slowdown is happening, summer slowdown. I was like, no. Then the first day of June, after the Memorial Day week and after the first quarantine week, got it was like 10 different people reaching out. I'm like, okay, cool. So that's one main one.
That sort of expectation of, oh gosh, here comes, it's sort of like doomsday thinking a little bit, or scarcity mindset.
Yeah, it's more like, yeah, it was a little bit, because it was like, it was more, did the thing break? Is the system broken now? Do I have to go and put in all this work to go fix the system? That was the main thing.
So you held on. Was it trust that you kind of stuck with, or what was the thing that sort of got you through that?
I didn't have any other choice.
Sometimes we just ride along with the circumstances, but there are other times in life where we actually have to choose who will I be, right? Mm-hmm. So say after the Memorial Day weekend, those calls didn't start coming in, or those responses didn't come in, right? Now you're faced with who will I be in this moment? Who do I choose to be? Do I go with sort of scarcity thinking? How will that picture my my responses? How will that affect the way I go out to adapt to this new situation?
Mm.
Do I come at it with love, trust, abundance? Do I come at it with, hey, I'll do whatever I need to do. It doesn't matter. I'll find a new way. Possibility, the door of possibility, I believe, is always waiting for us. But we don't see that door. Many times we see a dead end. We see a blank wall. We can't imagine that what we want is even possible. And if you don't expect it, you're not going to see it. If you don't see it, you won't work for it. If you don't work for it, you're not going to get it.
Yes. Question in there?
I'm just hanging out with you, man.
I was like,
What's
like the question here? Because I'm listening. Where are we going here? Yeah,
yeah, I guess it's, who do you choose to be? What do you choose to, what aspect of yourself do you choose to bring forward when this phone stops ringing?
Unfortunately, I tend to be the kind of person that, will duplicate what's worked in the past, or go and we're going to go and attack and just shoot out videos, go and fill up the funnel, see exactly what's happening with the ads, see exactly what's happening, whether it's Facebook, whether it's YouTube, go check out my existing community, my existing pipeline, see exactly, hey, what's up? Has something happened in the industry? Has, your clientele slowed down? Are you taking a vacation right now? Even though we just came out of one of, the hardest times for a lot of people. That's the other thing. It was like, logically, it's like, there's no way they're gonna have a summer slowdown this year, or take the summer off like they usually do, because
Yeah.
Do
you mind if I, just for the sake of this program, kind of work with you right now around this a little bit, and just to bring out some of the ideas that I'm talking about? Yes. So I noticed that when I said, who do you want to be around this? I heard you talk about what you were going to do. Mm. So normal. This is what we do. I have it in my mind that there's sort of a ladder of who we're being, and who we're being will help determine what we do, and what we do will then affect what we achieve, or what the end result will be. But it starts with the who we are. And so I say to someone, so who will you be? They say, well, I'm going to do this, right? And so there's this natural sense of it, but many times, and I'm so guilty of it myself, I'm not pointing fingers. When I decide to jump in like that ahead of time, I'll probably jump in from the I gotta, and there's a struggle and there's strife. Man, I'm going to win. And generally in my life, I've won. I've done very well for myself, but it hasn't necessarily because it's been easy or because it's been fun. Sometimes it's just been struggle. And I don't know that that's the way I want to live my life. So I could choose to say, who am I going to be? I'm going to be aspects of myself that I can bring in this moment. Like I said before, it could be trust. It could be remembering that I'm okay. Spiritually speaking, I'm good, right? I'm being cared for. Nothing bad's really ever happened to me. I mean, not terrible. I feel like I can trust the universe to support me in this. And I think it's going to support me even more when I bring the love, the compassion, the understanding, the willingness, the generosity, that I bring that to the world reflects it back to me. Mm-hmm. Kind of basic spiritual principles, I suppose, but that's the being. And then if I make those calls, or I work on my pipeline from that space, A, will it be more effective? B, will it be more fulfilling? Mm. How will my life turn more towards my maybe true destiny, or my, how will it move more towards the fulfillment of my deepest goals? Now, for me, you said before, like, who are you, or what are your deepest goals? What's your sense of like success in the world? And I've had enough success in my life. I am tired of living a life of struggle mentally. I want to put myself in the hands of the universe, or God, or Great Spirit, or Mother Earth. And I want to be able to move with that. I want my spiritual life to be reflected in my work and my play in a way that I'm not working alone against the world, but working with the world. Does that make sense to you? So when I choose who I want to choose who I want to be in this situation, in work, about the calls and everything else. I want it to be reflective of my greater goals in life. What's my purpose here? What's my mission here? And that will really help steer me in all these different aspects of my work, my relationships, my finances, etc. I don't know if I'm just boring you to tears, or if you're like, man, this guy's crazy. I'm wondering what you're thinking.
What does that look like?
How so?
So when you say letting the universe take over, being, what is the action, or what is the verb?
Yes. So what does it mean to be? Who am I at any one time? I could be someone who believes the world is out to get me, and I've got to get for myself. If I don't get for myself, someone else is going to get it, right? So I better struggle. I better be hurry. I better be fast. I'd be very competitive, right? Because it's a zero-sum game, and I got to get mine. I could believe that the world is benevolent. I could believe that there's great power in visualization and trust and love. I could believe that if I come at it, the world, with love and trust and compassion, instead of declaring my life a success because I got what I thought I wanted, my life might be a success because I was able to sow those things and influence others. I heard someone say once that success is getting what you want. Happiness is being happy with what you get, or being satisfied with what you have, or something like that. So in some ways, I'm conflating then happiness and success.
Yeah,
Success will
that
be
seems
to
like a
create a
circle.
happy life.
Seems like or happiness creates success, right? If we're
Yeah.
right?
Maybe they're the same, right?
I think it depends on the moment, right? Yeah, people sometimes get on there and they'll be like, success isn't about money. It's not about this, not about this. I'm like, well, what is it then? And it's like a lot of people, the moment, they struggle with that. And well, I guess everybody does. Most moments are good, right? But it's those moments when it's hard.
Well, who are you being in those moments when it's hard?
Let's talk about that. So when things get hard,
Yeah.
and well, I guess at this point you probably developed an awareness of when you're feeling like that. What are some tricks or some tips that you have for pulling back into that, being who you
Sure.
need to be?
It's a really good point. When I recognize that hard is a context,
Mm-hmm.
hard is a manufactured place that I have created.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Buddhist saying, pain is inevitable, struggle is an option, or suffering is an option, right? Pain is inevitable, suffering is an option. My dogs experience pain, but they forget about it the very next moment. They're small. One's a dachshund, one's a dachshund Yorkie, and sometimes they get underfoot. And I might be doing the dishes, I don't realize it down there. I turn and I'll kick one, and it's like my heart breaks. I hear them yelp. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Oh God, are you okay? Right? 2 seconds later, they're licking my face. They're happy. Everything's fine. It's like they're not holding on to that.
Mm-hmm.
You and I don't know you that well, Bryce, but you and I we get kicked. We don't forget so easily. It's like, why did they do that? That hurts my feelings. I don't think they love me. They don't respect me. They weren't they were careless. They didn't see me there. I don't want that to happen again. I'm going to tell that guy, whatever, right? And we can create a story. And just like I said with the horses, we'll hold that story for a while. Being in the hard context, I see my life a certain way. I have a choice to see it that way or to see it a different way. So I have a list of things that I do when I notice myself, I'm out, I'm off, I'm not on my game. I have certain music that I'll put on. I have certain people that I'll call. I have certain passages from books to read. And when none of that works and I'm still stuck in it, I tell myself, I give myself permission to go take a nap.
Mm.
I meditate. But after practicing these, usually it's just the awareness, oh, right, I don't have to be here. What is it that has me being here? What is it I can't be with? What's the thing that has me saying, this shouldn't be this way? That guy kicked me. It shouldn't have been like that. But the facts are, I don't know how it happened. I don't know anything about it. What am I committed to? I'm committed to being in spiritual conversation with other people, to be in alignment, to be connected, and to sow love. Based on that commitment, how can I get clear with him? How can I get clear with myself? So I go through 5 steps. What's the thing I can't be with? What's the thing that shouldn't be there? What are my feelings? Because you can't step over them. I've got feelings. I'm upset. I'm mad. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling disrespected. Lay them all out. Write them all out. Get it out of my chest. The third thing is, what's the facts? Forget the judgments. Forget the beliefs, the feelings. What are the actual facts? I got kicked. I don't know anything more about it. What am I committed to in life? I'm committed to this success that we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm committed to love. Based on that commitment, what's the action that I need to take? I need to get straight with this guy. I need to get straight with this guy. Me. So those are the 5 steps. Anyone can do it. Choose to stay in the old story. Choose to feed it with our anger or fear. Have you ever heard of the Course in Miracles? They said it's basically 2 things, 2 places you can be. You can be in love, you can be in fear.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught in the fear. I get it. It's practicing. How do you get back to love?
Interesting.
And that all might sound very conceptual, high level, but what about my job? Well, if you come at your job from fear, come at your boss from fear, and fear has lots of, different, right? It could be anger, it could be resentment, it could be distrust, right? That's kind of all that side, right? You can come at it from the sympathetic fight or flight, or you can come at it from the parasympathetic feed and breathe. Who are you going to be in this moment with your boss? If you come at it from the fear, how is that going to affect the communication, the relationship, and the results?
Not good.
If I come from trying to understand, letting go of what I think it should be, if I can let go of being right in the moment, can I see it a different way? Can I open the door for it not to have to be an insult to me that I got kicked? Maybe it wasn't that at all. I have a friend who uses a technique. He says, when someone does something that I think is like, I feel like I've been wronged, he says, I go to them and I say, can I talk to you about this? If he gets permission, it's like, okay, so look, something happened and I made it mean this. I made it mean you don't like me, you don't respect me, whatever. I made it mean this. But I know that can't be true. because I know who you are in your heart. Can you help me understand?
Mm.
What a difference, right? Rather than coming at someone with like, I've got a grudge now.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
But you've also told them how you feel. I made it mean this.
Mm-hmm.
Can you please help me understand? Because I know that can't be true. And you give the other person a chance to maybe clean up their act, because maybe they did do something shitty, right? You know, and it gives them an opportunity to step into a higher sense of who they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. For me, I tend, since I don't really have to go around people, I tend not to get upset with people about stuff. Generally, the stuff that happens is like regarding me. You know, it's kind of like the first one, how we respond to those situations. That's generally the big thing for me. I have a lot of scarcity. That's like the biggest thing for me. So that's why I always like to like have um, kind of processes and procedures to where it's not about Bryce, how Bryce feels today. You know, because generally
If I go there, we're not getting anything done today.
well,
Right?
I'm very, very, very scale, sometimes extremely logical. Then I can get really tilted and be very, very like very impulsive. You know, so it's just really interesting. You know, based and plus it's different based on the environment. You know that you have. Hmm. So let's talk about that.
About the environment?
Environment control. So not just outside, but also your mental space, your workspace.
Inner and outer environment.
Yeah.
We've talked a little bit, I think, already about sort of managing the inner space, right? The inner environment, recognizing that it's a choice. And I talk to a lot of people, and I don't want to say it's a function of age. I don't know, maybe, with the men that I work with that are now in their 50s or 60s, testosterone levels are lower, right? There's like less of that animal, right? And men mellow over age. But I know that when I was a younger man, I had a hard time, even if I recognized I'm angry and it's probably for no good reason. I didn't want to let go of it. All right. I didn't know how to let go of it. You know that you ever been mad and just like, I don't want to let go. I don't want to stop being mad. It's one thing to recognize it, it's another thing to choose. And I think there's something there about choosing it. In terms of other environments that we don't have control over, how do we adapt? How do we roll with an environment that we actually don't have control over? I think the pandemic was is an interesting example, how we can sometimes live in the world and feel like we've got it figured out. I've got this thing nailed. I'm doing it, man. I get my businesses going well, my relationships are going well. I've got the world on a string, as Dean Martin used to sing. And then something happens, that we can't control. And I think the pandemic hit people not only in a fear of their health, a fear of their job, but I think it hits to a core sense of uncertainty and fear of the unknown, where we might have thought we had the world on the string, but guess what? That string just got cut, Yeah. How do we be with not knowing and not able to control? I'll give you a quick example of, it's just a teaching story maybe. I had a medical condition, and I went to 2 different doctors and talked about it, and they both recommended a course of action that had some pretty negative side effects. I'm like, I'm not willing to live with those side effects. They're like, dude, this is what you're going to have to do. I have a brother who's a physician, and I don't like to bother him with that stuff. It's like, you know, you're on your off time. You don't want to answer everybody else's problems. But I went to him and said, what do you think I should do? I'm kind of freaked out. I don't want to do a procedure that has such terrible likely side effects. And he said, I think you're overlooking one treatment that maybe you haven't given enough thought to. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah, bring it on. I need more options. He said, have you considered sitting on your hands? Have you considered doing nothing? That's actually an option. And I'm like, true. He says, you know, what are the risks? What is the payoff? Well, I ended up taking his advice and doing nothing. My body healed, as it turns out. But I think when things happen in the world that are scary, our first response is, I have to do something. I have a dear friend whose mother got cancer. There was, like, they basically told her, there's nothing you're going to do to save her life. But the family said, we have to do something. And they put her on all these really difficult treatments that probably ended up cutting her life even shorter. But how do you do nothing? How do you be with something that's so scary? What do you lean on? And I think there's a lot of us who are trying to control the world, who feel a need to control the world, and now are freaking out when something like this happens that we can't control. And there's a real lesson in being able to be with the uncertainty, be with the unknowing, being out of control. Trusting the world, trusting yourself that you will respond as needed when there is something you can do, and trusting that you'll know when that is. I'm sure you're familiar with the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Sometimes the outer world can't be changed by us or controlled by us. Can we be with that? And who will we be?
Excellent. I think the words, what was it? Sila. You ever heard of that?
Sila? No.
It usually means to reflect.
Nice. So who will I be? I could reflect on it. I could be grateful for what I do have. I could commit to doing the things that I can control that will make the world better, that will make us all safer.
Excellent. You know, where can people go to either learn more about you, or where can they go to connect with you further?
Well, good question, and thanks for asking. I'm not really great at self-promotion. Business comes my way a lot of times, and I stay in touch with a lot of people, but the easiest thing to find me is through our website, bigtimecoaching.com. Again, my name is Dr. Tim Merrick. You can email me at tim@bigtimecoaching. You can, that's probably the easiest ways. You can find me on LinkedIn. I don't have a whole lot of Facebook presence. I don't do Instagram. I don't, maybe I'm an old fart in that way, but I don't have a big social media presence. But I encourage you to go on our website and check us out. And you can sign up on our website for a free life assessment if you just want to find out more about what coaching is. And, go from there.
Excellent. You know, I really appreciate your time today and really appreciate some of the insights that you have provided.
Thanks for that. And thanks for playing along with me.
Excellent. And for those watching, we thoroughly hope that you got some tremendous value out of this video. Now, if you've been searching for a community where people are, improving themselves and helping others do the same, I recommend you go check out our free community. I'm going to put some links out above or below the video. It's basically a community where we come together and form a mastermind. People support each other and uplift each other every single day. So if that is what you are looking for and what you want to be a part of, go ahead and join us in this community by clicking the links either above or below the video. Now, hopefully you enjoyed watching this video as much as we enjoyed creating it. Feel free to hit that share button so other people can get some great value as well. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. We're done recording in 3 and 2 and 1.